we go to the book of Daniel, chapter 9 is the key chapter to everything that happens in the book of Revelation. So we have the first 6 chapters, which is prophetic history written down, and then Daniel starts having dreams. And I love what he says in Daniel 8:26. And the vision of the evening and the morning, which was told, is true. Wherefore, shut up the vision, for it shall be for many days. Now this links to Daniel 12, where he says, seal the vision. But this is the vision about the evening and the morning. Now Jesus came and he said, the people that sat in darkness saw a great light. The true light that shone in the beginning now came into the world. This is John 1. The whole book of Daniel is the vision about the night, because the morning is coming. Hosea 6 says, he will come to us like the morning. He will come to us like the rain. And we know the former rain fell when Jesus poured his Spirit out. This is a vision about the evening and the morning. This time was set right from Genesis 1. So Daniel 9 is really an important chapter. It starts in the first year of Darius, the son of Ahasuerus, the seed of the Medes. So Ahasuerus is also the king that married Esther. So this is right after Cyrus. Now, what is so awesome about this whole Bible is, Isaiah said, we must seek out the book and find the words. You cannot interpret the Bible with nowadays history. The history was there. You cannot change history. But when Cyrus came in and he overtook Babylon, and they revealed to him what Isaiah said about him, man, this guy just got off and he gave them all the material they need to rebuild the temple. And this was prophesied by Isaiah 7:22. Way before these people were taken captive. Now, at the end of the captivity, this prophecy is fulfilled. He says in Isaiah 44, that saith Cyrus, he is my shepherd. He shall perform all my pleasure, even saying to Jerusalem, thou shalt be built, and to the temple, thy foundation shall be laid. Well, why would God use a worldly king? Because Israel was supposed to be a kingdom of priests, but they wanted a king. God is actually showing that I'm going to turn to the whole world. It's not going to be this nation. So this is what this whole removal is about. And you must remember, from the book of Malachi up to Matthew, there were 400 years of silence. And literally, Daniel 7 and Daniel 8 reveals what happened in these years of silence. It's like the world was preparing for the Christ to come. Rome actually built the roads and prepared the whole world in order for the Christ to come and the gospel to be preached to the whole known world, because they invented roads and there was this communication network. Now, in the first year of his reign, Daniel understood by the books the number of years whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet, that would accomplish 70 years in the desolation of Jerusalem. And we find that exactly in Jeremiah 25, verse 11. And this whole land shall be a desolation and astonishment, and these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years. And it shall come to pass, when 70 years are accomplished, that I will punish the king of Babylon and the nation, saith the Lord, for the iniquity and the land of the Chaldeans, and I will make it a perpetuate desolations. Now the prophets only came in when Israel wanted kings. Before that, there was judges. So these kings warned them of what was to come. Why? They were disobedient. They became a harlot that fornicated with all the nations, because God had a chosen people to bring forth a seed, and they totally missed the mark. And Isaiah also prophesied that they will be taken to Babylon. And Jeremiah was in the time they were taken to Babylon, and he prophesied this and said, you will be in Babylon 70 years. This is so important. 3 + 4 is 7. 3, God, 4, earth. It means God is working on the earth. And 10 is a complete time. So when they were taken to Babylon, they had more than enough chance to turn to God. But you know what they did? They sat at the rivers of Babylon, refusing to sing the Lord's song. But you will see Daniel and Ezekiel, all these prophets, every time something was revealed, it was at a river. So while the others were sitting at the river refusing to sing God's song was being written by these prophets. And this is what we actually have in Daniel. He says here in verse 11, the curse is poured upon us, and the oath which was written in the law of Moses. What? Isaiah 46:10 says the end is always determined from the beginning. So just when Moses was going to enter the promised land, God said to him he couldn't enter, but he must write them a song. And this song is revealing their end. But God said, seal it, my treasuries. Because Deuteronomy 29:29 says, when it's sealed, it belongs to God. But when it's revealed, it's going to work out on the earth. Then it belongs to us. So we must understand this spiritual language. Like, for instance, when Revelation 1 says, the Son of Man came on the clouds of heaven, and those that pierced him saw it. That saw is not a seeing, it's a experiencing. So this is why we taste and see. But to taste and see is to actually hear. The word is spirit-breathed. Do not let your natural mind mess you up, and you're going to find yourself lost in the corridors of time, waiting for the beast and the Antichrist and not knowing what's going on. Maybe we'll be raptured to some planet. That's not in the Bible at all. So we need to stick to the spirit language. Now, Moses prophesied this judgment. He calls it a judgment that came on them. Now, whoa, Jesus alone took the judgment of Adam. 70 AD was the judgment of the world. That was when the old was totally removed and the kingdom was inaugurated, because nobody could enter the temple that was opened until the final vials were poured out on the temple. And Revelation 6 says, there's a voice from the temple say, pour out, pour out. Daniel 9, remember, it's a prophecy on the evening and the morning. And we're going to experience the morning now. But do you remember in Daniel 6, Daniel was thrown in the lion's den. And early the morning, the stone was rolled away. And the king came and said, Daniel, did your God save you? A picture of Jesus Christ. So if this is about the morning, it's like the stone is going to be rolled away. The law is going to be no more. The law was the system of stoning, but Jesus was the rock. Now, when we come to verse 21 and 22, you will see that everything starts changing here. Because in verse 19, Daniel is really pleading with God and he's praying, oh Lord, forgive. Oh Lord, hearken. Oh Lord, for your own sake, for your city, for your people. And he's really pleading with God. And then something happened in verse 21. Yea, while I was speaking in prayer, the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, Gabriel. Wow. Gabriel is also the one that announced the birth of John the Baptist and of Jesus. He announces. So there are two, Gabriel and Michael, to fulfill what was carried in the ark. There was two cherubims on the ark, and their wings were closed, and there was a mercy seat. So what happened in the morning? Their wings opened. So when Mary came to the tomb, there was two angels, one at the head and one at the bottom. And it means the work is done. And he says, he came and he flew swiftly and touched me at the time of the evening oblation. That's exactly the time that Jesus gave up the ghost. So informed me and talked with me and said, Daniel, I am now come to give you skill and understanding. Well, The word understand is like 22 times in the book of Daniel. The word know is 40 times in the book of Daniel. So, voila, God wants us to understand. I think this is a revelation in itself. And you know what? We have the Spirit. He says this Spirit of truth is going to teach us into all truth. So when we wrongly divide the word, you know what 2 Peter calls it? He says there are people, they are willingly ignorant. Why? Because their natural minds have misled them. And they think that we can just add to the word and take away from the word. You know what? God knows exactly what He's doing. So I want to ask you now, why do we even have a word? Because the people in the New Testament was writing the New Testament, they didn't have it. The people in the Old Testament didn't have a New Testament or an Old Testament. So people get saved when the Spirit pulls them. But why are we the generation that has the Bible practically in every language? God wants us to know and understand His eternal purposes, because this is the vision about the evening and the morning. And when the morning broke, God said, today I have begotten you. And today is like an ever progressing, overlapping situation.